Guys, Arwen here. So I'm excited to talk to you all today about a pattern that I had in my psyche, and I want to tell you all about it because that's like my favorite thing to do in life. So I was having trouble understanding how to get more clients, and this was last year, the end of the year in the winter, and I started to hit on some like freaking amazing things that allowed me to like pull the thread and just like clear all the shit that was going on in my psyche. It was like amazing. So I had like a small number of clients that were rolling in, but I was doing the job part-time and doing the clients part-time, and I wasn't like just doing the business full-time like I am now. And I wanted to talk about like how I corrected that pattern and what it was. So at that time in, I think it was December, I had started to really feel into the deeper processes in my body as to what was stopping me. Because I had done all the upper level stuff. I had done my belief structure. I had done a lot of things. I was very aligned with lots of things. But there was just something that was just kind of energetically like blocking me from really manifesting what I had wanted. And when I got into the feelings in my body, and this is what I want to stress, it's so easy to just ask yourself what your belief structures are about things, and belief structures have their place, but I'm noticing the more I do my work, it's so much faster to tap into the emotion, clear the emotion, shift the emotion. It's like click, 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 right? So I moved into the emotion in my body and kind of felt like how I felt about I forgot about this part. I remember feeling a severe amount of regret, and that was what prompted me to get started and notice the pattern and kind of trace it and see where it went. So I was feeling all this massive regret, and the regret was I regretted that I had taken so many business programs, not all of them, but a lot of them. I regretted certain things that I had done and then not other things that I had done. So I literally wrote out all the programs I had taken. I know because I've put them all in a certain folder. Like when I pay for something in the business, it goes in a certain folder in my email, so it's very easy for me to see what I've purchased. That's a business expense. So I looked at it real quick, wrote them all down on a sheet of paper, looked at each one, and I noticed some of them super aligned. So happy I took it. Oh my God, where would I be without that? A lot of them not. Okay, so I would say probably 40% of them were soul aligned and 60% of them were not. And I was feeling all this like regret in my body, like, I'm so sad that like I spent so much time like on those programs. I'm sad that I was distracted. I felt sadness and regret that I had paid the money for the programs, and I didn't need to. And really I wish that I sold the money in my programs, that I paid for those things, because I didn't really need them. I thought that I needed them. And when I moved down further into the emotions, I felt these feelings of like guilt. I felt like I shouldn't have spent the money on that. Why did I do that? Like I was beating myself up about it. I noticed emotions of like frustration, like I've been trying to do this for so long. Why is this taking so long for me to do this, etc. You know, and I allowed the emotions to flow, and I allowed them to release and just sort of like percolate up out of my psyche. And what I realized was that one of the things I'm really good at doing is seeing the root core cause of a pattern, like superpower right there, right? So in my consciousness, I was feeling and I was associating those feelings with the business. They were actually the same sort of feelings I was feeling in my childhood self about wanting someone to help me figure out the emotional confusion that I was feeling. So let me make this clear. So in my adult life, I was feeling emotional confusion as to why I couldn't figure out this certain area of my life. Why could I only have a certain number of clients, but then I couldn't go above that? Why did I have just like, this was my energetic maximum that I could receive, but I couldn't seem to get above it, and it didn't matter what I did, I just couldn't seem to break through, and it was like driving me nuts. So I, of course, did my fuck this shit ceremony around this, which I just did a video on that. It'll be the last video in my YouTube series, in my YouTube channel. So I did that, and of course, obviously that made the pattern unravel, because I decided it wouldn't unravel. But, so anyway, back to my story. So I decided, okay, like that's done, I'm not doing that anymore. But the emotions that I felt towards the business programs was, I want this program to save me. If only I could figure this out. I don't understand. I'm emotionally confused. That was the main pattern, right? And that pattern was mirrored in my childhood, okay? So the pattern going on in my upper level of consciousness in my adult life about the business is just an effect. It's not the root core cause of the problem. Root core cause of the problem is that on a childhood level, the childhood pieces of me, I was emotionally confused why my father didn't want me. That was like the true core of the issue, right? When I got down into those feelings, and I was able to figure that out because I'd moved down into the feelings, and being deep in those feelings allowed me to really like feel like in my body, and then it just clicked right in, and I knew, oh, that's what it is. That's exactly what is creating the problem. So, like, I just knew it was from my father. And him and not being around and me being emotionally confused around that. So what was happening was that I felt in my body, my childhood self, like, oh, I need to change myself. I need to be different. I need to figure out what's wrong with myself so that I can be good enough so that then my father will love me. It's the pattern of I need to figure out what to do, or I need to figure out what to be because I don't know what to do and I don't know what to be to make my father love me because he doesn't innately love me. So what do I do about that, right? Identical pattern going on in my adult life. I don't actually understand what to do or how I need to be in order to get people to hire me, right? Like, what do I do in order to have more clients? I have my few clients, that's great, but why don't I have more, right? Which is the exact same pattern of, I don't understand why my father doesn't love me. I'm confused. You see how this is the same pattern? It's just mirrored. The emotions are the same. That's how I could get to the root core cause pattern. So what I did is I cleared those emotions. I did my energetic emotional clearing. I did the energy work that I know how to do, strip those emotions out of the body, clear them out of my psyche. The archetype that I was running was the abandoned, wounded, invisible child archetype, which was like, that was the key that changed my entire life, was getting that archetype integrated. Well, wait, let me say this in different words. Removing the energetic archetype and then the aspects of self that were playing that archetype, I integrated them into my body. It was just very easy for me to suddenly see those aspects of self as soon as I moved the grid out of my body. So, let me go get something. Hold on one sec. Okay, so when I'm doing my energy healing on people, most of it is at a distance. With the pandemic, it's all at a distance at this point, which is fine. Like, I love doing it over the phone. It's great. I don't need to know you. I don't need to see you. It's not necessary. So anyway, this, I will use this as like the surrogate for doing my energy healing. So when I first asked, show me, universe, show me how to remove the archetype pattern out of someone, because there's all these archetypes we can play out on in consciousness, right? We can play out the servant, we can play out the warrior, we can play out the queen, we can play out the mistress, we can play out the joker, like all these different things, right? And I was totally playing out the abandoned, wounded, invisible child archetype, which I've just rolled into one since I had all those issues. And what came to me was I just needed to energetically remove it from my spine, like just literally remove out the light codes for that pattern. So there are archetypes in consciousness that we can play out, and all patterns are just light and information on the quantum level. So what I'm doing is I'm quantumly removing that pattern. So when you remove the grid, when you remove the pattern, what happens is that anything that pattern was holding in place, it's like it has to dissolve and it has to change. And it's also very easy to see. It's almost like there's people living in a house. You just energetically remove the house. Now all the people are standing there. Now it's very easy to see them because there's no house. And you're like, oh, look, there's like 5 aspects of self right here that need to be integrated. That's what happened when I removed the abandoned wounded child archetype out of my psyche. So, hold on. I feel like I'm going 8 directions with the story. What else did I want to tell you guys? Okay. So what was happening was that on a base level, I was emotionally confused about why my father didn't want me. Because of all that of emotional confusion, I was like, how do I change myself so people want me? How do I change myself so my dad wants me? Which is the same thing on an upper level as how do I change myself so clients want me? Does everybody see? So something that I noticed too when I was doing all this work is that it seems to me, and this is just my experience, what I've noticed, I don't know if it's true for everybody, but it's true in a lot of people I've worked with, and it's true for myself, that the business is a representation of however you were interacting with your father. I'm going to go ahead and say the masculine principle. Okay, so some people may have had parents where the mother was very masculine and the father was very feminine. If that is the case, then I would say, and then if you have a business, the way you interact with the business is probably the way you interacted with the masculine principle. If that was your mother, then that would be it. But I'm not 100% sure on that. I just feel intuitively like that's probably correct. I mean, I only have a sample size of like, I don't know, 10 or 15 people, and that's what I've got so far. But it could be different, but this is just what I've noticed so far. So anyways, point of my story being that I noticed that also how I was interacting with my job was how I interacted with my mother, and some patterns there were playing out. And it makes these things that were like so difficult before are just so freaking simple. I was like, how did I not see this before? It's so clear for me to see. So when I cleared my emotional confusion in the body as to why my father didn't want me, and notice I said in the body, I didn't say in my mind, and I didn't say my belief structures about the situation. I said in my body. So my emotional like patterning in my body of how I felt confused about my father not wanting me, not being around, not wanting to spend time with me, etc., because he wasn't around. That confusion patterning moved out of my body, then allowed me to be energetically open in order to actually feel like my father does love me. I do have his love. I do have his acceptance. He loves spending time with me. So you can do that on an energetic quantum level and shift that. Just because it didn't happen in your physical reality doesn't mean you need to continue to like walk around with that pattern in your consciousness. You just change it. You do change the past because you change the light and information that's making up the pattern that happened. Just because the pattern happened in the past doesn't mean that you can't change it, because there really is no time and there really is no space, and you really can just change it like in the moment. But you do need to access the dimension that it's in order to change it. You cannot be in your upper level mind and change it. You cannot be in beta consciousness. You have to move down to delta or theta. And then it changes instantly. That's what quantum level healing is. You're changing your brain frequency. It's not what you're doing, it's where you're doing it from. And it's the same thing with these patterns that are going on in consciousness. It's not what you're doing, it's where you're doing it from. And tapping into the root core cause of the issue is really not that hard. It's really not that hard, but it does require you to be in your body in order to find it. It does require you to feel your emotions in order to find it. It does require you to be able to just be neutral and you know, see through dimensionally in order to solve it. Because like when I see these emotional patterns, when I see them on myself and when I see them in my clients, it's very easy for me to be like, oh yeah, there's an aspect of self, let's just reintegrate that. Like, it's very easy. Aspects of self, to me, they look like they're fragmented out of the body a little bit, and they're like a few dimensions over. So they're in your field. Like, they didn't go anywhere. You didn't lose like a part of yourself. They're still there. They're just dimensionally separated, and you just kind of delete those dimensions, and you just integrate them back in. You just do that. I don't know how to explain that to you in a video. Just know how to do that. So yeah, so when those aspects of self are reintegrated, then you don't feel those emotions anymore. So you're feeling your emotions, and you're feeling all your emotions of all the fragmented aspects of self that are going on. Almost everybody has some very, very, very mild fragmentation. It's not like it's like, oh my goodness, like this isn't normal. It's super normal. The people that are kind of crazy, those are the people that have like severe fragmentation. When I say crazy, I mean like they have like a borderline personality disorder or something. Like, that's severe fragmentation. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about more mild stuff. And it's not that if someone, you know, has a borderline personality disorder, if they have something going on like that, it's not like that can't be rectified. It can, but usually someone with personality like that doesn't think they have a problem, and so they don't go seek help. But anyways, I feel like I'm getting off into multiple subjects here. Point of my story being is that patterns can be changed. When you view them on the energetic level, they're easy to change. You can shift the emotions. You can shift what happened in the past. You just energetically change it at the root core cause. I moved it so that I then felt in my body, my father loves me. He wants to spend time with me. He's always loved me. How could he not love me? How ridiculous is that? Hello. And then when I shifted that on that deep level in my psyche, then on the upper level of my consciousness, it looked like a breakthrough. And the breakthrough was clients started showing up out of nowhere. I'll tell you what, just like lining up around the block. I was like, well, if that didn't solve that problem. Right? Because now I felt open and happy and excited. I was like, oh, of course clients want to work with me. Of course, like they love and they like want to book with me. Like, hello. And I felt that way because I felt like on a deep level, of course my father loves me and he wants to spend time with me. So it was like it was the same pattern. So, yeah, deleting these things in consciousness is, it's so amazing and it's so much fun and I love it. It's like my favorite thing to do. But anyways, so yeah, I wanted to tell you guys a story about that. And then I wanted to tell you, okay, so I've created a new program. It's called Merge with Your Power. It's the one that I have where the jaguar is the totem animal. I'm so excited. So I called this program in shamanically, like I asked. I was like, universe, I want the soul aligned program. What would be like so much fun? I want to like do more with clients and move deeper and do more fun stuff and really help them like shift like really fast. Like I know in a single session with someone, I can help you light years for sure. But if there's like a lot of different pieces that are going on and you're abandoned wounded child or your gullible child or you're like whatever, pick the aspect of self, pick the archetype, the identity archetype that's creating a lot of trouble, you know, clearing that up, how that aspect of you, clearing up how your childhood pieces feel about money, how your childhood pieces feel about your mother, how your childhood pieces feel about your father, how they feel about safety, how they feel about all these things, like changes your entire life. And I'm telling you just from experience with myself and my clients, everything going on in your adult life is mirrored somewhere in your childhood, and it's really simple when you get to the basis. It's like, mind blown, how did I not figure that out? I've been struggling with this for years. I could have just deleted it. So anyway, okay, so that is why I did my 6-week program. It is a 6-week energetic container where I help you merge with your power. You already are powerful, so energy cannot be created or destroyed. It is there. You actually are powerful. You have all of your power. It's already there. It's probably just in pieces. So integrating these aspects of self, bringing your inner child into your body, giving her a birthday, making her older, bringing her up to the current age that you are as an adult, like letting go of these patterns that you have with your family members, letting go of ancestral stuff. That stuff comes up sometimes. Breaking oaths, vows, and contracts. It energetically, it changes everything dramatically, and then everything in your life just like rights itself. It's amazing. So yeah, so I'm very excited because I really want to work deeper with people, and I want to work with people in an energetic container so we can do all the things and have all the fun, and I can help people do like more massive amounts of deep level healing on that level. So yeah, the container is open now. I'm very excited. If you feel called, please message me either on Facebook or on my email, which is support@arwenmclaughlin.com. If you want to read more about it, it is on my website under the Work With Me tab. All the ways you can work with me are under the Work With Me tab. I've decided to put it all under there for simplicity's sake. And yeah, so anyways, I'm very excited about it. So if you feel called, just go to the website and you read all the things more about it, and let me know if you have questions. Alright guys, I'm going to be doing a bunch more videos about this because I'm very excited about it, and I have so many things to tell you about like the stuff that I figured out in my like psyche. It's like, it makes me so excited because I like, I don't know, it's my favorite thing. But anyways, I hope you all have a wonderful day. If you did not watch my previous video on the Fuck This Shit ceremony, you should totally watch that. Super good. It involves sticks and strings. You're going to love it. Alright guys, bye!